Wolverine, Super Strong by Joyce Markovics. An Arctic Search. It was 2007, and from up in a small airplane, biologist Audrey Magoon was scanning the snowy Alaskan ground below. She was on the lookout for a wolverine. She had been studying the animals for the past 30 years. Suddenly, she saw a ball of brown fur below. Audrey's excitement grew. Could this be the animal she was looking for? A wolverine in Alaska. This sighting reminded Audrey of a time earlier in her career when she tracked a male wolverine named Rudy. Finding Rudy had not been easy. The plane Audrey was traveling in had to make several passes over the white, treeless tundra where Rudy lived. Yet Audrey still couldn't spot him. Finally, though, she saw something below. I realized it was the brown fur of the wolverine caked with blowing snow, said Audrey. However, Rudy was not moving. Audrey feared that the wolverine was dead. Rudy was a wolverine that Audrey had previously put a radio collar on. His collar gave out a signal that helped Audrey track his movements. Audrey, shown here, loves studying wolverines because they are so rare and very little is known about them. Wolverine surprise. Audrey needed to get a closer look, so the pilot landed the plane about 50 feet, 15 meters, from where Rudy was lying. When Audrey hopped out of the plane, she could see Rudy's bushy tail poking out of the snow. The front of his body, however, was buried under a snowdrift. Audrey in the area where she spotted Rudy. All of a sudden, Audrey saw Rudy twitch. To be sure that Rudy was okay, Audrey decided to gently tug his tail. When my hand was only 4 inches, 10 centimeters from his fur, she said, there was a sudden explosion of snow, fur, and guttural rumbling. And there I was, face to face with Rudy. Seconds later, the surprised wolverine sped away across the tundra. When Audrey looked inside the hole Rudy had been in, she discovered what he'd been doing: eating a frozen ground squirrel. Wolverines sometimes bury food in caches during the summer. They do this so that they don't go hungry when food is scarce during the long, cold winter. A ground squirrel. This wolverine is looking for food in the snow. Home on the roam. Even though Audrey has spent many years tracking wolverines, she sometimes still has problems finding them. Wolverines are rare, and they live alone most of the time. Also, they make their homes in remote places, such as the frozen tundra, in thick forests, or high in the mountains in the Arctic region. What else makes wolverines hard to track? They're on the go all the time, said Audrey. The Arctic region is one of the coldest places on Earth, with temperatures dipping to -60 degrees Fahrenheit, -51 degrees Celsius, in winter. Wolverines in the wild. Yellow, where wolverines live. To find enough food, wolverines travel non-stop. As they move, they cover a lot of ground. Wolverines have a huge territory, or range. Audrey discovered that female wolverines roam over an area of land that is about 38 square miles, 98 square kilometers. That's close to the size of 18,000 football fields. Males have an even larger range. They roam over an area of land about 115 to 308 square miles, 298 to 798 square kilometers. Some wolverines cover 25 miles, 40 kilometers, a day. That's about the same distance that a human runs in a marathon. Wolverines are always on the go. They spend most of their time looking for food. What's for dinner? Since food is scarce in the Arctic, wolverines eat whatever they can find. Sometimes they hunt living animals for food, including ground squirrels, snowshoe hares, marmots, birds, and larger animals, such as caribou. A wolverine having a meal. Most of the time, however, wolverines eat carrion, animals that are already dead. In fact, wolverines are one of the more important scavengers in the Arctic. They will even devour dead animals that carry diseases. On top of that, they're determined and fearless when looking for a meal. Biologist Bob Inman knows of 2 wolverines that competed with black bears for an elk carcass, even though the bears were about 10 times bigger. As a result, the wolverines ended up being killed by the bears. But that just shows how tenacious they are, said Bob. Some wolverines will follow wolf packs for hours, hoping to gulp down the wolves' leftovers, including elk and caribou meat. This can be risky for wolverines, as they are sometimes attacked and killed by the much larger wolves. This wolverine is feasting on a bear. What's in a name? Despite the name Wolverine, these animals are not related to wolves. In fact, wolverines are part of the weasel family, which includes ferrets and minks. They're actually the largest members of the weasel family that live on land. According to Audrey, wolverines are about 30 times bigger than their weasel cousins. The wolverine's scientific name is gulo gulo, which means glutton. Ferrets, such as this black-footed ferret, usually weigh no more than 3 pounds, 1.4 kilograms. Minks, such as this one, usually weigh between 2 and 4 pounds, 0.9 and 1.8 kilograms. Wolverines are very powerful animals. In fact, some scientists consider them to be the strongest of all mammals for their size. Females usually weigh between 13 and 26 pounds, 6 and 12 kilograms, and males weigh between 22 and 55 pounds, 10 and 25 kilograms. While these animals are about the same size as a family dog, they appear a lot larger. That's because they are covered with shaggy, thick fur that hides the shape of their bodies. Wolverines are solidly built and look a lot like short, stocky bears. They are sometimes called devil bears. An American black bear. Fabulous fur. So just how do wolverines survive in the freezing Arctic? They can live in such extreme weather because they are adapted to life in the cold. For example, their dark, thick, furry coats have 2 layers of hair to protect them from the fierce cold. The top layer is made up of coarse hair that is up to 4 inches, 10 centimeters, long. The bottom layer is short and fluffy. Their coats help them stay dry and warm during long Arctic winters. There's a light brown or creamy band of fur on each side of the wolverine's thick, warm coat. A wolverine also has a mask of black fur around its eyes and on its nose. Some have golden eyebrows. Wolverines have adapted to the Arctic in other ways, too. Their furry paws are long and wide. They act like snowshoes, keeping the wolverines from sinking into the snow. Their paws allow them to tunnel through deep snow as well. Wolverines also have long claws that enable them to hold on as they scramble up trees and tall rocks to find food or to escape a predator, such as a wolf. A wolverine can use its claws to dig through nearly 4 feet, 1 meter, of snow and 10 inches, 25 centimeters, of soil in just minutes. Long claws as well as strong muscles help wolverines easily climb trees. Mighty jaws. Besides having warm fur and long claws, wolverines also have powerful jaws, which allow them to eat frozen meat and bones during winter. Just how strong are their jaws? Audrey has captured wolverines in steel cages a few times. More than once, in order to escape, the animals have used their jaws to weaken the steel until it snapped. This wolverine is using its strong jaws and teeth to feed on this frozen meat. The jaws of a wolverine are not just for eating and escaping. Wolverines are able to clamp down on and drag very heavy things with their mouths. They are strong enough to drag a mountain goat carcass or the giant leg of a moose, which can be 3 times their weight, for a few miles. Wolverines have special upper teeth in the back of their mouths that are angled sideways. They act like knife blades, allowing the wolverine to scrape and slice flesh off bones. Similar to dogs, wolverines use their jaws and teeth to chew on bones until they are a pile of splinters. Follow that smell. Wolverines find much of their food using their keen sense of smell. With their noses, they can locate meat buried deep under the snow, as well as follow the trails of other animals to track down food. Wildlife photographer Antti Leinonen knows about the animal's incredible sense of smell firsthand. This wolverine hopes its nose will lead it to its next meal. Wolverines sometimes stand up on their back legs to sniff the air to track down food. In 2000, Antti was looking for wolverines to photograph in a forest in Finland, a country in Europe. However, he was having little luck finding the rare animals. One day, he climbed a tall pine tree and placed a piece of meat near the top, hoping to attract wolverines. Soon, he heard something at the tree's base. When he looked down, he saw a wolverine looking right up at him. The wolverine had used its nose to sniff out the meat. Scientists sometimes hang meat from a tree in an area where wolverines live. Then, in a nearby tree, they set up a camera that detects motion. When a wolverine finds the meat, the camera snaps a photo. This kind of work helps scientists identify and learn more about wolverines. This female wolverine is trying to reach the moose head that's hanging above her. Audrey Magoon placed the moose head there in order to get the wolverine to climb the tree so that she could take photos. Communicating by scent. The wolverine's sense of smell is important in other ways, too. Each wolverine has its very own scent, which is recognized by other wolverines. Males and females use their special scent to mark their territory. They do this by urinating or rubbing their bellies on the ground. While males fiercely defend their territory against other males, they will allow some females to live in it. A male wolverine marking his territory. A male wolverine also uses its sense of smell to find a female to mate with. Breeding usually takes place from May to August. A male can tell if a female is ready to breed just by sniffing her. After mating, female wolverines give birth about 7 to 9 months later when it's winter. Giving birth at that time of the year helps keep the small white cubs safe from predators because they can blend into the snowy ground. Like skunks, wolverines have special glands near their tails that release a stinky fluid when the animals are feeling threatened. As a result, wolverines are sometimes called skunk bears. A female wolverine may live in the same range as a male, but they do not live together as a family. Baby wolverines. Between February and March, females usually give birth in dens that they build themselves out of fallen trees, or in snow caves that they find already built. The caves may have 1 or 2 tunnels that can be up to 60 yards, 55 meters long. Inside, the females will have 2 or 3 cubs. Cubs are covered with white fur when they are born. However, their fur darkens after a week or so. A wolverine den built at the base of a fallen tree. A newborn wolverine cub. At birth, the cubs weigh less than 1 pound. 0.5 kilograms each, about as much as a loaf of bread. For about the first 8 weeks, cubs drink their mother's milk. After 9 or 10 weeks, they begin eating solid food and start to grow very quickly. The cubs may remain in their mother's home range for as little as 6 months or for as long as 2 years. Wolverine cubs. A mother wolverine with her cub. Many threats. Once young wolverines reach adulthood, they face many challenges to their survival. There is often little food and deadly diseases in the places where they live. Others may be killed by wolves, bears, or adult male wolverines. In a few places, such as Montana and Alaska, trappers catch wolverines for their fur. Wolverines can live for 7 to 12 years in the wild. In the 1800s, many wolverines were trapped for their warm fur, which was used to line winter coats. Today, trappers such as this one are only able to legally trap wolverines in Montana and Alaska. However, wolverine numbers are most significantly affected by habitat loss. The increasing human footprint on the landscape is probably the greatest threat to wolverines, says Audrey. For example, in Alaska and Canada, human activities such as oil drilling, road building, and logging drive the animals away. Wolverines that don't have enough space to find food starve to death. They also may not be able to find other wolverines to mate with. Habitat destruction, which occurs during activities such as the construction of oil pipelines, is driving wolverines away from their homes. What the future holds. Gulos, wolverines, don't need a few secure areas to survive. They need lots of secure areas, says biologist and wolverine lover Douglas Chadwick. To conserve wolverines, Douglas and other experts agree that their Arctic home must be protected. This means limiting development in the places where wolverines could be affected. With help from the government, new laws could be created to save the wolverine's habitat. Wolverines move around a lot, making it very hard to count them. This is the reason that scientists don't know exactly how many wolverines are living in the wild. A wolverine taking a much-needed rest. More research is also needed to help the wolverine. The more people know about these mysterious and tough creatures, the more that can be done to protect them. For many, wolverines represent a huge part of what makes the Arctic wild and wonderful.